There's a version of you that already did everything, and you keep delaying. And your brain keeps choosing the version that feels safe, but never starts.
Imagine there is a ghost living in your room. It isn't a stranger. It's the person you were supposed to be by now. You see this version of yourself every night before you sleep. The one who finally started the business, wrote the book, or got in shape. But while this future you is busy winning, the current you is sitting on the floor of a bathroom or in the back of a bus, staring out the window while your life quietly steps away. You aren't lazy and you aren't a failure. You are experiencing a sophisticated psychological glitch where your brain has fallen in love with a fantasy because reality feels like a threat. Today, we're deconstructing the hidden architecture of the silent dreamer, from the dopamine trap of your own imagination to the reason why your potential has become a comfort cage. The dopamine mirror. One of the biggest reasons you dream big, but do nothing, is that your brain can't tell the difference between a thought and a victory. When you spend hours imagining your success, your brain releases small amounts of dopamine, the satisfaction chemical, as if you've already achieved something. This is the validation paradox. By the time you actually need to do the hard, boring work, your brain has already tasted the reward. Think about it. Why do you still have energy for video games or anime, but can't handle one real-life task? Neuroscience shows your brain runs on dopamine, not discipline. Games work because the goals are clear and the feedback is immediate. Real life is unpredictable and slow. Your brain chooses the mental reward because the effort-to-reward ratio is safer. You aren't avoiding responsibility. You're stuck in a conservation mode where your mind prioritizes the low-effort high of a dream over the high-effort risk of reality. The safety of not trying. Beneath your big ambition is often a hidden, vibrating fear of failure. As long as you stay in the planning phase, your dream remains perfect. You can imagine your project being a masterpiece because it hasn't been tested by the messy reality of being not enough. This is a survival system at work. Your mind developed protective beliefs like, if I don't try, I can't fail, to avoid the pain of disappointment. You keep waiting for the right moment or for the feeling of being ready. But psychology shows that readiness is a byproduct of action, not the cause of it. By staying still, you are protecting your self-image. You'd rather be a genius who hasn't started than a person who tried and fell short. You aren't broken. Your brain is just trying to shield you from a climax of intensity that it isn't sure you can handle. Are you addicted to your potential, or are you actually building something real? Tell us in the comments what one goal you've been thinking about for more than a year. Just naming it is the first step in moving it from a fantasy into a fact. The identity cage. When an action becomes a habit, your mind starts to rewrite your story. You stop saying, I didn't do the work today, and start saying, I am a procrastinator. Psychologists call this identity-based self-judgment. This label doesn't motivate you, it traps you. Research shows that shame activates the brain's threat system, which triggers fear and avoidance. When you shame yourself for being lazy, your brain doesn't want to try harder. It wants to escape the feeling of being bad. This is why you scroll, binge, or go numb. It's a fuse blowing out so your whole house doesn't burn down from emotional overload. You're waiting for your inner voice to sound like a friend, but right now, it sounds like a stranger you've internalized from past criticisms. Healing starts when you realize you are the person who made a mistake, not the mistake itself. The behavioral activation loop. To break the loop, you have to stop asking for motivation and start asking for momentum. This is the behavioral activation loop. Action leads to reward, which finally creates the motivation for more action. You don't have to force yourself to be a high achiever overnight. You just have to lower the barrier until it's smaller than your fear. If you can't write a book, write one sentence. If you can't work out, just put on your shoes. These micro wins release the dopamine that your brain has been stealing from your daydreams and put it back into your actual life. Momentum is fragile, but when it builds, you finally feel capable. You stop auditioning for a life you've already earned and start living it. Conclusion, a gentler future. If you have been through too much, it makes sense that you are watchful, careful, and tired. But adaptation is not destiny. You can learn to trust your inner voice again and build a life that feels gentler than the one that shaped you. Forgiving yourself for the time you've wasted is the most profound act of self-love you can embark on. You aren't a procrastinator. You are a human being navigating a complex world, doing the best you can with the tools you have. Take one small step today, even a messy step counts. If this video helped you understand your own dreamer's loop, consider subscribing to Read Minds. Take care of your mind.